Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. My name is Clara Planson. I am the Marketing and Communication Manager here at Beekast. And today I'm really looking forward to walking you through our 6 brand new templates. These are templates that came out over the summer, and you'll see we have a little bit of everything. We have icebreakers, we have templates that are designed for beginners, for experts, and we also have a lot of templates surrounding training. So if you're a trainer, if you're a coach, I think you're gonna love a lot of the templates that I have to show you today. All right. So just before we get started, making sure that everyone can see me, hear me, see my screen, make sure to give a little shout out in the Livestorm chat just to let me know if you can see me, or you can also respond with like a little thumbs up or anything like that. So I'll give everyone a few minutes to join. And yeah, for those of you who are joining us today, welcome. My name is Clara. I am the Marketing Communication Manager at Beekast, and I'm looking forward to going over these 6 templates. We're going to get a lot of different types of activities here, and we even have a template session that we'll dive into near the end of this webinar. All right, perfect. Thank you for people who are talking in the chat. That's good for me. And we can get started. And I actually wanted us to start off with a really fun template. This is called the This or That template. And it's a great icebreaker, basically, if you're starting out on Beekast, if you want something that can go by really quickly, that you can do in small or large groups. I really think that the This or That activity is something that is really easy to set up for a quick icebreaker at the start of a meeting or a training session or an event. And basically what this template, what this activity is going to allow you to do is just engage your participants by inviting them to vote for what they prefer out of 2 options. So in this, you can see we kind of have a red pill, blue pill situation happening, but let me show you an actual activity for the This or That template. So here we go. Gonna let my screen load. When I'm screen sharing, it can always take a little bit of time. They're perfect. And so as you can see in this or that template, we have a summer versus winter. And so it's very visual. And what you're going to ask your participants to do is simply drag this little bubble right here. So I'll just show you by taking part in the activity myself. I can go ahead as the participant and click on my answer and then drag this dot on the icon, the picture that best represents what my preference. So here I'm going to go ahead and put it around the summer part of the screen, just because I don't know where everyone is located today, but personally I'm located in Paris, and in France altogether we've had a pretty short summer, so I would be very happy to get a couple minutes back, even hours or days of sunlight and warmth. So just going to click on send. And then as you can see, it says thank you. And then my answer pops up for everyone to see. So let's just see. There we go. And so right now I am in avatar mode, but if my activity was in email mode, or if people were logging on to Beekast with a username, then I would be able to know who said what. And so this is just a great way to see all of these little icons appear and see what your participants would rather pick. So maybe we'd have like 40% of participants who prefer summer, but then 60% would actually prefer winter. And you can start a conversation around that. And it's always nice when you don't really know a group and you're looking for a nice icebreaker to just kind of start off the interaction with something that's super easy and I think everyone can connect to. And it's just a way for you to say, oh, hey, we have something in common, or we don't, so let's talk about it. So yeah, very fun activity for you there. Let me show you a little bit the other types of variants that exist within this template. So if I want to add this or that template, I can go ahead at the top left part of my screen, as you can see here on this button, add a slide. I can then go ahead and click here on add a slide. and then go to templates. So this is the center button right here. When I click on templates, I'm then going to have a whole bunch of different templates that are made available to me. And as you can see, the this or that template is available right here. I can click on import, and I will then have a whole bunch of different types of this or that activities. So I can choose if people are more croissant or pain au chocolat. This is a very French example. But you have your classics, like, are you more of a dog person or a cat person? Would you rather go to the mountain or to the beach? Are you more a coffee or tea drinker? What kind would you rather watch football or tennis, or do you prefer football over tennis? And then books or movies, which is another classic. So you can go ahead and import any type of this or that variant. And if I were to import the dog or cat activity, I could click on submit, and then this will be automatically added to my Beekast session, and it's ready to go. So as you can see, this was added, and I can start the activity. And I'll immediately allow my participants to vote for which one they prefer. So is it the dog or the cat? So there you have it, a very short and sweet icebreaker. I think this is a really fun one to start off a meeting with. It's nice because it's very just fun and it's simple. So people really like usually this visual aspect that doesn't require a lot of thinking or anything like that. So it's just very easy to set up. And we did have some people, for if I have any more creative minds with me today, please know that we also created this template in a Canvas format. So for those of you who may not be very familiar with Beekast, we have different types of activities. The one that I showed you here today with the template is a pin on image activity, pretty self-explanatory. You just take your little pin, take your little sticker and pin it on the image like I just showed you. But we also have a Canvas activity, and the Canvas activity is more of a whiteboard. And on this whiteboard, as you can see, you have all of the this or that variants that are displayed. And if you want to create your own variant, you can go ahead and import pictures and just kind of put them here on these little frames. So this is also a great way to create your own version of the this or that activity. And then your participants can go ahead, choose their sticker, and drag it wherever they want to kind of show what they would vote for. So you're going to have a lot more stickers over here on the canvas, because on the pin on image version of this activity, you can only vote one time. Here, sky's the limit. You have so many stickers, so you can kind of drag them all over the place. So just remember, I would use the Canvas format for smaller groups, and the this or that pin on image activity for medium to bigger groups. Works great with small groups as well. But if you want to create your own version, you'll have to use the Canvas version of this template. All right, so I started us off with an icebreaker, and now I'm going to switch on over to this really interesting template that we created that was actually shared to us by a Beekast user. So we had a client talk to us about the circle of influence. And for those of you who may not know much about this activity, we did not come up with it at all. It is by Stephen Covey. And Stephen Covey is the author of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And so the idea in this book, he talks about the circle of influence. And the idea is to help individuals to focus on areas where they can actually make a difference. And this means that we're giving them the tools to kind of channel their energy into concrete, constructive actions, rather than kind of wasting it on concerns over which they have no power. So we're going to dive into this a little bit more. And as you can see right here, just going to go ahead and switch over to the canvas. This is, once again, a whiteboard activity. And so the circle of influence is a 3-step process. And it's a little bit more complex. So if I have beginners here today, this may be an activity that you want to dive into. It's a little bit more, there's a little bit more happening than with the icebreaker, this or that I just showed you. So just keep that in mind, but you'll see it's very easy. We're on a whiteboard activity, so it's a lot of drag and drop. And so the way that it works is I first have a circle of concern. So my circle of concern is a circle where I'm not thinking yet about what I have control over or what I don't have control over, but I'm asking my participants to share things that are concerning to them, things that are on their mind. This can be things that are stressful, things that they think a lot about right now, things that maybe are making them unmotivated, or at least kind of making it hard on a daily basis to work or to just be themselves. So here I'm giving you a very specific example. This is from like a general marketing team. So let's just imagine you would have Post-its where people would come and add. So let me just show you right now. You can go ahead and copy or just drag a Post-it on over to the circle of concern. You can also create a Post-it by just clicking down here and clicking wherever you want in the circle, and your Post-it will appear. And so I can go ahead and say, okay, well, for example, market changes. That's a concern for me because maybe it's impacting my team, maybe it's impacting our business, our company. Social media posts, that's also a concern for us. Maybe it's a concern regarding the quality of the content or the amount of content we're putting out. Annual performance reviews are coming up. That's a concern maybe for managers or for members of the team. We have team motivation, which is definitely can sometimes be a concern in any given company. So you have all of your ideas here. Once your team has finished writing all of their ideas, you as the facilitator of this activity can then go on over and pick up this circle. This is the circle of control. So I'm just going to go ahead and I can unlock this circle right here. And then I can go ahead and drag it on over on my circle of concern. As you can see, this circle is a lot smaller and it fits perfectly over the circle of concern. And what I can start to do then is I can go ahead and ask the people with these concerns to kind of go ahead and think about which Post-its, which ideas are concerns that they have full control over, things that where they can actually make a difference. And for example, market changes, well, we can't control that. We can't control the way the market shifts. We can't control our competitors. We can't control what's happening in the world today. So of course that's stressful, but we shouldn't worry about that too much because we can't be held accountable for what's happening in the market today. On the other hand, we do have control over social media posts. I have full control over the content that I'm sharing on social media. The type of content we're sharing on our platforms, how much content we're sharing, where are we sharing it. Those are things that within a communication or a marketing team, we have full control over. Annual performance reviews. Well, depending on who you are, if you're more of the manager, if you're more of the employee, and on which side of the annual performance review you are, you may have more or less control. But let's put it near the circle of control. Team motivation. Well, you can't control the entire team's motivation, but you can control yours. You can kind of help your team be motivated. So let's settle that a little closer as well. And then a competitor's new feature, well, you can't control that. So we'll keep that in the circle of concern. And then our partnerships, we definitely have control, at least some control over our partnerships. We decide who we partner up with. We decide the terms of the partnership. So even if maybe we want certain partnerships that we can't yet get, we do have somewhat of control over this. So as you can see, we've started kind of moving around these Post-its. And this is interesting because as a team, we can kind of talk about like, oh, hey, maybe I know this is stressful. I know that the market or competitors can be stressful. They can be a big concern for us. But instead of focusing on things that we have no control over, let's already focus on these Post-its right here in our green circle, which are actionable things that we can do. These are measures that these are things that we can actually do and that we can actually change over a short or a long amount of time. So once you've kind of discussed that with everyone and made sure that everyone has shared some ideas, some people may have even added new post-its about things that they can control, you can go ahead and go to the final circle. Now, the final circle is this famous circle of influence. And the circle of influence, as you can see, fits perfectly just between the circle of concern. So it's over the circle of concern, but it's under the circle of control. And so it allows me to kind of make this third layer on my circle. And the circle of influence basically means that these are things that I can't fully control. I don't have full control over some of these concerns, but I do play a role in getting some control over them. I can influence some actions. I can influence how this goes. So for example, market changes, I still have no influence on that. I mean, their market changes economically, how the world is going, when you look everywhere around you, you have no control over that. So that stays in our circle of concern. On the other hand, we talked about team motivation. Team motivation is definitely an idea and a concern that can go into the circle of influence, because even though I may not have full control over like how everyone feels within my team, I can at least decide that I want to motivate my team, that I want to bring my best self every day to the office within my team and help people. I want to talk with them. I want to see what I can do to motivate them, what I can do to help them feel more implicated, more driven on a daily basis. So that's a small role that I can play. I can't control how other people feel, but I can control how I make people feel. I can control how I act and how I motivate my team. So this is something that would go in our circle of influence, as well as perhaps the annual performance review, where you can't control what your manager is going to tell you, but you can control how you're preparing this performance review. You can control how you're going to influence the way that this annual performance review is going to go by being prepared, by doing all of the before work, kind of all of that work in advance, where you get to kind of show everything that's been done in the past, your goals, where you're at in regarding your numbers, things like that. And then partnerships and social media posts, I would keep in my full circle of control here. So in the end, the idea of the circle of influence, as you can see, is kind of helping people prioritize and go through lists of items that concern them, that can demotivate them, that can make them feel overwhelmed at work, and help them reorganize these concerns and say, okay, well, let's kind of forget about market changes and this competitor's new feature, because we can't do anything about that. But what can we do? And then you can start setting up actionable leverages that you can implement in your work and in your daily life. And thanks to that, the circle of influence is really a great way to remotivate your team. It's a great way to kind of get everyone thinking about what they can do and what they can't do, and kind of leave behind the negative energy of feeling overwhelmed and powerless in front of certain situations, because sometimes we have no control, no power over those situations. So let's focus on things that we can actually change. All right, I hope this made sense. The circle of influence is a really fun activity. It's a bit more work as a facilitator because you're really driving the conversation. Make sure to remain open, to really look for as many ideas as you can and to drive results in the end. In the end, what you want is your team to leave with some actions that they can implement, things that they can do. So it's not just about looking at what they have control over. It's saying, okay, well, you have control over social media posts, or you don't have control over this competitor's new feature, but what we do know is that what you can control are these social media posts or partnerships, and maybe that's how we answer to things, to this card here that we can't control, to this post-it. So we can't do anything about the competitor having a new feature, but we can do some pretty cool stuff on our side regarding partnerships or social media. All right. Now, moving on to a whole other template. This template is really nice as well. We created around 2 to 3 templates during the summer for trainers and coaches and basically L&D managers and all of those kind of people that have to be a part of training, learning, and development in the workforce. And so what we wanted to do with this questionnaire was make something that was easy to implement for all types of trainers and coaches. So as you can see, this pre-training questionnaire is pretty straight to the point. The idea is being able as a facilitator and as a coach or a trainer to gather as much information before a training course in order to best prepare the training material and the course material. So in order to do this, you're going to be able to send this questionnaire out in an asynchronous format. So this is something that people can do on their own time. You can send it out in an email. You can share it in Slack, any channel that you're communicating with your learners with. You can send it out beforehand, a couple weeks prior to the training session. And you can go ahead and let them answer. And thanks to those answers, you will then be able to personalize, customize a little bit your training course in order to get something that feels a lot closer to what your learners are expecting. So let's kind of look at the questions. You have a little survey right here, just to know if people have already taken part in similar training courses. This can be interesting to know if you're going to meet up with learners that are already somewhat experts or that somewhat have a little bit knowledge about the course, or if this is a completely new topic for them and they're just beginning. So they'll require maybe a little bit more information and a little bit more of an introduction to the course before being able to dive into any other topics. We then have a little rating activity where we can ask our participants to rate on a scale of 1 to 10 what their knowledge in this area is. So once again, it's pretty generic. The idea is that this is something that you can easily format to kind of match with your training courses, with your training material. So we're staying pretty generic during this entire questionnaire. But it's a good way to already kind of know, okay, so these people do think they know a lot about the topic versus these people are complete beginners, and so they may not have the same needs. And I, as a trainer, may have to rethink the way that I'm setting up my training course. We can then talk about challenges and issues that they're hoping to address during this training. This is important, especially when you're talking about question 3 and 4, when you're talking about challenges and goals and issues. Well, as a trainer, you want to make sure that your learners don't leave feeling like they didn't get to the bottom of the topic or they didn't get the answers that they needed. You want to make sure that people leave satisfied, that they leave motivated, that they leave knowing that they really got what they wanted out of the course. And so having those answers beforehand allows you as the trainer to adapt your course and to adapt all of your training material quickly in order to make sure that this meets the expectations. And finally, last questions. This is a pretty short questionnaire. Just hoping to know how useful you think this training will be for you in the future. This is also interesting if you want to see how invested people feel in this training session. This is a little sneaky question to kind of know your learners' motivation. Sometimes we are faced with learners that feel like they don't have their place in a training course. Perhaps they feel like they know too much and that this won't bring them anything, that they won't get anything out of this training course. So kind of getting to know how people feel about joining your training session is also a great way to kind of test and see what people think about this beforehand and maybe be able to change their minds afterwards if needed. So once you have this pre-training questionnaire, we also thought about what happens after. And what happens after is gathering feedback. We all know this, trainers, coaches, but also managers. I think everybody today can say that getting feedback is so precious. And in order to allow you to save time, we created this template where the idea is to kind of evaluate the training that your learners went through and gather constructive feedback to help you improve your courses over time. So once again, this is a form activity. It's a form format. And as you can see, we're starting off, these are only little scales. So we gave you 1 being I disagree and 5 being I strongly agree. And you will be able to know if did you have enough prior knowledge to attend the course? Was the course material interesting? Did you understand the topic? Did you understand the questions on the subject in question, etc.? So this is a very, very short questionnaire, and it's a form that can be easily modified as well. If you want to edit it and go deeper into a specific topic, you can go ahead and edit it here directly. So once again, even when you're using a Beekast template, you can always go ahead in a second time and edit that template to have it match your needs or your goals. So just remember that our goal with these templates is to help you save time. But once again, it's very flexible and you can really make it so that it's yours. Finally, our last completely new template, because then I have one final template activity that I wanted to share with you, but this one is actually more of a classic that was revisited. So our final template is actually a session template. What is a session template? Well, it's exactly like a template where you have an activity, but instead of having just one activity like what I've shown you previously, where you have one form or you have one pin on image activity, here we have a full course or a full meeting that is prepared for you in advance. So just to show you what this looks like, you always have access to our Beekast Inspirations website. And I'm going to go ahead and share this with you right here. So if you type in inspirations.beekast.com, and I can share this in the chat as well, you will be able to access our inspiration library, our template library. So here you will have absolutely every Beekast template ever created. And the one that I wanted to show you is the sessions template space. So if I go ahead and click in the session templates, I will have multiple sessions that are already pre-designed and ready to go for you. So as you can see, these sessions are mostly meetings, but if you want to host a weekly meeting, we've got you covered. You can go ahead and just add our template and you have a weekly meeting ready to go. If you're hosting a one-on-one with a member of your team, you can just use our one-on-one template and you have multiple slides that are ready with multiple activities, an icebreaker, a feedback questionnaire, just everything is ready to go in one session. And then we also have a little performance review. We have a quality of work-life barometer that just came out, which is very exciting. This is great for if there are any HR people here with me today. And the one that I want to talk to you that came out this summer is our Green Challenge. Now, our Green Challenge was something that we had a lot of fun with because we always thought that it would be important and interesting to create little challenges for your company in order to bring awareness to a specific topic, here being the topic of the environment and climate change. And so a lot of this is usually a topic that people find in the workplace, depending who you're talking to, it can be a little boring for them or they feel like they're already doing enough. And it's not always a topic that's very easy to breach with someone. So this is why we decided to create the Green Challenge. It's just a quick session that people can do on their own time in order to know a little bit more about what they can do to be a little bit more respectful of the environment, especially in the workplace. Once again, we're not giving you a full tutorial on how to live. It's just about bringing awareness to your company, to your employees, and helping them understand a little bit more about the actions that they can take when it comes to the planet and the environment. So the first activity, as you can see, this is an evaluation activity. So there's a right and wrong answer. And I'm just asking my employees to think a little bit more about the type of waste and its decomposition time in nature. So how long does it take, for example, gum to completely disappear in nature when you just throw it out. So here we're talking about bottles, we have water bottles, we have cigarettes, peels, just like natural produce, organics, things like that. And you can go ahead and drag and drop your answers right here. So I can go ahead and just drag and drop, drag and drop. And so that's a first activity. My other activity that I'll have in this session, because once again, this is a full session, so you'll have multiple activities, is I can rank the countries that emit the most CO2. So this is interesting as well, because it's just a fun way of kind of saying, oh, okay, like, am I in a country that is a big CO2 emitter, etc. I also have a quick MCQ on the carbon footprint of an hour streaming on Netflix. This can give you an idea of how much how much streaming is today. And once again, we're all working today from a computer. We have Google Meets, we have webinars. These are all things that are emitting a carbon footprint. And then at the end, we're finishing it off with a fun little activity that is really cool to do in the workplace, because we're allowing everyone to kind of share something that they do for the planet. So I also recommend this because it's pretty fun. It's a great way to kind of share knowledge and tips between employees and between everyone in a company, and kind of see that everyone is doing a little bit on their side and get some cool tricks. It's also a great way to learn even new things that maybe you didn't know. So yeah, this is our green challenge session template. And right now the session templates can be imported directly here from our website, from our inspiration website. So you can go ahead and go to our template library, just go to session templates, and then by clicking on any one of these templates, you can click on use this template, and it will automatically import this session into your Beekast workspace. All right, finishing up, we are right on time. I'm finishing up with the blob tree. Now, the blob tree is an activity that so many of our users love. This is really an activity that isn't new. It's a template that's been around for ages at Beekast. And here we basically have different little types of, oh, let me share my screen. Just realized I wasn't sharing my screen anymore. All right, coming back to the blob tree. So this is an activity where we basically have a lot of different little characters, and these characters are all doing different things. They have different expressions. Some of them are happy, some of them are confused, some of them are sad, some of them are angry. And you can go ahead and place your little sticker on the character that best represents how you feel. And so this is usually used as an icebreaker. It can also be used as kind of an end of meeting or a closing kind of activity. This is great if you want to kind of see how people feel after giving them, providing them with information, and kind of see, okay, so most people are happy about it, or, oh no, I see some people look pretty confused. And it's a very imaginative and metaphoric activity. Usually the blob tree has always been on a Canvas activity. So it's a whiteboard activity where we provide you with the scenery and the little characters, and then everyone is free to drag and drop the sticker on the character that best represents how they feel. We wanted to make this even easier because our Canvas activity is an activity that is used with small to medium-sized groups, but it's an activity that can really quickly be a little overwhelming and hard to facilitate with large groups. It's also something that becomes very slow when you have thousands of people dragging and dropping stickers at the same place. So what we decided to do is also make this activity available and this template available on our pin on image activity. So now instead, when you want to create a blob tree, you can go ahead and click on add a slide. You can go to your templates and you can search for the blob tree template. And as you can see, you have the pin on image version and the generic blob tree, the classic on the Canvas activity. And you'll have the exact same variants. So you can choose if it's a building, the race, a train, the beach, the back to school, Christmas, for the holidays. You have the exact same thing for the pin on image. And here I decided to pick the race. And so just like the very beginning of this webinar, it works the exact same way. I have my little characters and I can go ahead and find one that represents how I feel. So here I'm going to pick this little guy. He's very close to reaching the finish line. And that's how I feel. I'm reaching the finish line. We are wrapping up this webinar. And once again, you can imagine everyone providing their little sticker and choosing a character. And then as the facilitator, you can go in and say, okay, well, this guy is falling, so maybe I need to kind of interact with this person and know if everything's all right. Clara here, if I was identified with my username, I would be able to say, oh, okay, so Clara looks like she's reaching the finishing line, which is good. Maybe some people are watching, some people are happy, some people are not happy at all. And this is just a great way to interact and kind of know everybody's feelings in a really quick and very creative way. All right. Hope that you enjoyed this webinar. I hope that I was able to bring you a lot of new templates that you'll be excited to try out. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for all your messages. I see there aren't any questions, so thank you so much. Feel free to try these out. Feel free to go and check out our inspirations website. You'll really find so many templates there, but also directly within the Beekast space when you're in your Beekast workspace, and you always have access to our template library. So yeah, make sure to check that out. Try out all our different templates, and see you soon for a whole new webinar. Thank you so much. Have a great day.